Hi, this is Plate Glass Armor with episode 2 of the Mars Exploration Team Tournament between the totally civilian research vessel by TodTheTidePod and the Adolphus Brennan team of Pendaelose. So this will be tank versus tank. Begin. Missiles are away. And looks like flares are getting launched, but it doesn't help because I think they are remote guided? Possibly. The first volley missed, and the other team is closing the distance because they either don't have a direct line of sight or they're not within range of the missile launchers. Looks like the missiles have started. The lasers have started firing. And once again, the totally civilian research vessel's missiles are struggling to connect. The lasers have started dealing damage. And you can see the mines inching their way forward. Some big hits on the front side of the research vessel. But the Brennan also took some strong hits from a volley that finally connected. And it looks like it blew off the mine launchers. So the Brennan is struggling to stay relevant in this fight. And the research vessel is still fully armed, although it looks like it's no longer moving. Oh, and with a second volley connecting, looks like the Brennan is out of the fight. So it is now between the two laser tanks and the damaged research vessel. The laser tanks are trying to find the high ground to get a good shot, but it looks like it's just barely not enough with the research vessel hiding behind a hill here. They occasionally think they have a shot, but it's not quite enough to hit it over the hills. 2.5 minutes remain, and so far the civilian research vessel is in the lead with its more reliable missiles. Good hits there with some of the missiles. The Adolphus is trying to repair that, but not very quickly. And it looks like they're not quite smart enough to know that they have to crawl forward in order to get a better shot. That being said, it did get one hit in, but it's struggling against that heavy armor on the front. So long as the TCRV can hide behind these hills here, it stands a good chance against the totally line of sight based laser tanks. Oh, one of the gantries was taken out. So the laser tanks are still doing damage, but that might not be enough because the TCRV is still in the lead thanks to the early elimination of the Brennan. it looks like a slight targeting error, so I suspect it might be caused by ECM for those close misses with the remote guided missiles. And with that, we have time. So the first match goes to TodTheTidePod. Round 2. Begin. This time the missiles are focusing on one of the laser tanks, which is probably a mistake, because since both teams are preferring to stay at long range, it seems like the indirect fire of the Brennan is more useful in this match. And once again, another narrow miss from those remote guided missiles. Uh-oh, but there goes the Brennan's main weapon, which means it's no longer contributing until it can repair it, and those are expensive repairs. I think it was popped off by the EMP hitting the turret there. Since missile components are slightly EMP vulnerable. Once again, the TCRV is in the lead, but it looks like the Brennan is slowly getting its weaponry back online, although it might be AI dead there, since its weapon is no longer forward-facing. And once again, it gets blown up from those top attack missiles. Well, I say top attack, but really anything is top attack on these hills. So now it's down to the laser tanks versus the TCRV again. And the turret got popped off of one of them, which is, I think, more repairs than it can afford with only 2,500 materials. We'll see if it can build enough of the barrels to fire again in this match. The TCRV is content to sit behind a hill and slowly lob missiles at its enemies. And with those long medium missiles, it doesn't take very many hits to do a lot of damage. Oh, interesting. I saw a radar buoy getting launched there. So it looks like at least part of the research vessel's targeting relies on those radar buoys. We're now down to one laser tank, which means, barring an extremely lucky hit from the Adolphus that's remaining, this match is going to go to the totally civilian research vessel. And with AI dead, counting down on the clock, 2 seconds, 1 second, and a DQ means the second match also goes to TodTheTidePod. Round 3, begin. Let's follow these first few missiles in. Now, what TodTheTidePod is really hoping for here is managing to take out the weapons early, because it seems like that is the vulnerable part of these tanks by Pendaelose. So if you can pop those turret caps off, these tanks struggle with staying relevant in the fight. Oh, one good hit of 4. It looks like the laser tanks are finally doing their job, though, and they are poking little tiny holes in the civilian research vessel. Oh, and the magnet mines are away. So if the Brennan can launch 1 or 2 more volleys like that, he'll be able to smash through that heavy armor there. With better positioning this time, those laser tanks are finally doing much more damage. Oh, and looks like the atmosphere was doing the lack of atmosphere was doing its job this time, with the missiles really struggling to turn sharp enough. Three minutes remain, and Pendaelose is in the lead for once. If he can maintain that lead, he'll slowly chip away at this armor. What he really wants to do is manage a hit on that rear missile launcher. It looks like some of the lasers are doing just that. With its hidden mechanism, though, it's surprisingly well armored. Oh, and there goes the rear half of the Brennan. And if that DQs, yep, suddenly this match is a lot more even, because there's only 2 minutes left, and it's 78% versus 75%. The laser tanks are chipping away, and they are currently in the lead, even being down 1 vehicle. So if they can maintain their rate of repair and stay at 100% health, they might manage to pull off a close victory for the 3rd round. The front heavy armor is finally missing, and it looks like the lasers are burrowing deep into the civilian research vessel. With exposed engine parts and exposed AI, fact, it might have taken out one of the advanced control blocks necessary to open up the hatch doors here. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations to Pendaelose on managing one successful victory, with 2 wins going to Todd the Tide Pod.